Hey guys, I'm excited to show you some projects and things that we did to our house. It's kind of scary picking out paint and redesigning things, but thankfully I think it turned out really well, so stay tuned to see the transformation. I also have a few other fun home design projects that I was excited to get done. Over New Year's, I asked my husband if he would help with the project, and I was rather excited that he was willing to take it on. We went out and started looking, trying to find the right color. After an attempt at one place to get paint, it didn't work out. I guess they weren't staffed because of the holidays. We had to go to another place, so on our second try, we discovered the beadboard that I had been thinking about was much more expensive. It was like 3 times as expensive as I expected. So we ended up getting some other board. We ended up getting some different board. Then my husband very gladly, very kindly, pulled out the saw and got everything all realigned and ready to start cutting. One of these days I would love to take on one of these projects myself, but for now I just enjoy doing it with him, and he didn't seem to mind helping out, doing the majority of the thinking through the dimensions and measurements. They say working on projects together as a husband and wife is a really good idea, and you know, I can totally see why. We definitely got to work through some of our communication during the cutting. This whole project in the bedroom did take longer than I anticipated, partly because my little toddler sleeps in this room, and so we had to kind of work around his nap times. So that meant whenever we needed to work on it, he was up, and for example, when we were painting, that made it kind of tricky, but it worked out okay. He, I think, enjoyed the extra stuff going on. I was trying to go for an older look. Something that would have a bit more style to it, maybe more a timeless look. And I'm excited, and I think it turned out really well with that idea in mind. Then use a brad nailer to to nail in those strips, and then he used some caulking just to fill all of the little divots in so everything would be smooth. And then it was time to paint. Typically you don't need to prime, but we thought just to get a good base, we'd go ahead and put one layer of primer on. Then this is the paint that we picked up from the store. When we went to buy it, I probably should have showed my husband what I was going for, but we were talking about it and he was concerned that what I'd been looking at would be too dark. So we ended up picking this up, and at the time it was like, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. And it ended up being much, much lighter than I was looking for. So we took it back and we asked if they could add a bit of black to it. And I guess the gal running the paint machine wasn't too familiar with it, and so she ended up putting blue in accidentally. Now that turquoise is pretty, but I wasn't looking for a turquoise paint on this wall. That wasn't quite the look I was going for. So we got another can of paint. I'll show you what that looked like. Then once we painted with that, I knew it was like, this is not going to work. It was much more of a brighter green than I was looking for. So my husband, oh, he was so kind. He took, I felt really bad because it was like, we just couldn't get the color right. I mean, I was like, am I being too picky? But it's like, for the wall, you want it to be a color you're gonna like, because I'm not gonna go and change this tomorrow. So he took it back and was able to get the right color added in. I'm really grateful for how everything turned out. We might be doing more of this in our room, we're not sure, but it definitely added style to the room that I think really goes with the house. So I'm very thankful for how everything turned out. The one thing that we're going to do to this wall is add a coat hanger and possibly a shelf. You may have noticed before, this is where the change table is for our little guy, so I'd love to have a place to put his diapers higher up. So we may do like a coat rack and install a shelf, but that'll come later on. I need to find some good shelf material and brackets, so hopefully we'll get that done this year. For a while I had been thinking about putting some curtain above the kitchen sink window, but I hadn't been able to figure out what to put up there, whether it was the material or the type of rod. But I picked up at a thrift store some material. It was $2 and I thought, hey, this might as well give it a try. And I had rings from when I put curtains up around the rest of the house, and so we just grabbed one of these rods, and I had some leftover paste. This is Rub and Buff. I can put a link in the description. It's about maybe $9 for a little tube, but it goes a long way. I want to say we've done about 8 or 9 curtain rods, so you can get a good bit out of it. But basically you just rub it on the rod and you let it dry. I find it easiest to use a glove because then I don't get all over my fingers. And then I was excited to get the rod hung up once it was all dried. At some point I might get some different material, but I figured since this stuff was super cheap, why not mess with it and see what I could do. I do need to cut the material in half so that way we can open it up, but for now I really like the way it looks. I think it adds a bit more to the kitchen and just kind of softens the look a little bit. I don't know about you, but the curtain gives me summery vibes. Makes me feel like it's a bright summer day, and I don't know, I just think about like fields and about sunshine, and it's just, at least for me, I really like the feel it gives me. The material is not new, it definitely has spots, and I do need to, I'm going to take it down here pretty soon and try to treat those spots, see what I can get out. But overall, I just really like the effect or the feel that it gives. It also makes me think of like a mother working hard in the kitchen. Maybe it's hot, but there's projects getting done and it's a very industrious time, so maybe that's another reason that I like it. The next thing that I've been thinking about off and on is what to do with this vanity. I felt like it really could use something to change the style. I contemplated painting it white, but the rest of the bathroom is white, so I thought, well, let's not do that. And then I thought about painting it kind of the mossy green that I put in the bedroom, but I thought before we paint it, why don't we first start by changing the hardware? So I pulled out the rub and buff and applied that to the hardware to see if I liked the way it looked. It was a bit harder to get it to apply to the metal. I had to do about 2 coats, and I believe I'm going to have to go back too, just to get it in all the corners so that way you cannot see the gold. But I do like how it came out. I don't know if any of you are like me, but I feel like I've been slowly figuring out the style that I like, and so it's been kind of fun to come up with ways to change things and to use what I have to get the effect or style that we're looking for. We don't have a lot of options in our area for picking up decor. Like, we don't have the typical places like Hobby Lobby or Target or stuff like that. Not that I would buy decorations from there anyways, because I do like the more authentic old stuff as opposed to buying modern, newer things that have been made to look old. So I guess you could say, living here where we do in the desert, there are a lot of things that you come across that are legit old antiques, a lot more than where I grew up. But it's just been fun to collect things and to brainstorm, and it's taken time. Like, we've been married for 3 years. That's when we bought this house, and so it's taken almost 3 years to do some of these things. But it's kind of neat to see over time, because I feel like I'm saving money in the long run by not just changing everything at once, and then I'm also figuring out more what I like. And I'm not picking up things that'll do in the process, but I don't really care for 100%. As always, I appreciate your feedback with your thoughts or comments on different things, especially when it comes to antiques or stuff like that. So keep them coming. I feel like there's so much more to learn in this area. So I look forward to growing and learning more with you guys. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this room transformation, or I should say wall transformation. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday with another video. Thanks for hanging around.